freaking out, man. Tesla crypto. All right, good evening, Cryptoverse. What's going on YouTube? Going live on Facebook too. All right, we're up and running. All right, Saturday for Bitcoin, right? We went on live yesterday, and we were in the middle of this sell-off. We were still right here, and then there's that Tether news that somebody highlighted in the chat, and we saw this first green candle, second green candle while I was streaming, and I was saying I wouldn't give into that. I would not buy this bull flag. We're gonna see a continuation down into the zone. I know this video is titled Market Cycles, but we are, what's up, Alex? But for the sake of the market, I'm going to cover BTC before I dive into cycles, just do a quick update and see where this is going to take us. This is a grandfather of the market. This is the pulse of the market. When it's violent, alts don't look good. When it cools off, alts look good. Anyways, back to BTC. So yesterday we were in the middle of this sell-off when I went on stream. We saw this little bit of a push back up. There was no follow through. I said this was going to fail. The ideal retracement for this move, ideal extension for this move, was our 10,800, which was my target from yesterday, and then maybe like that 9,800 range, that previous low. Ideally, I want to keep pumping. Don't worry about nothing. I'm not sure what I'm pumping. But ideally, I want to see this higher low set in, so the chart attracts more bulls. Alex on Facebook, I'm not sure if you saw what we pumped out on 7.8, calling for caution. We're saying this is going to give us a short signal, and we are short. Hey, I'll send you a link to that, man. I did put out an article yesterday on Medium. Which chart is this? I put out an article yesterday on Medium saying that we're gonna see retracement likely down into the four-figure level and down into the 8,700 or so. That video is still it's cataloged on YouTube. It's yesterday's analysis. Type in yesterday's date, Coin Observatory, and you'll see our target and why that analysis said so. But for now, we want to see a turn here. We want to see, ideally, a move back up to the CME gap from this weekend, and which is going to put price at 11,737. I don't believe that we're going to fill the gap all the way. We're like going to come up to, I'll go ahead and fib the gap. As long as we turn here, let's remove all drawing tools. And I believe that as long as we turn here, I've got my gap fill targets for the VIPs, so we're probably going to see 10,900, 1189, maybe. I'm going to lay them down on the chart. Just because this previous gap didn't fill all the way. All right, so we saw this previous gap and it did not fill all the way. It filled like a good 78%. So I wouldn't expect the full-on gap fill here. I want to see a turn because of the 1.2 fib. Climb back into this territory. Come up here. Likely reject. If not here, reject higher. Give us an opportunity to short. And then more of a correction. Right? Just so we get a little bit of a gap fill. Last gap fill move, which was 2 weeks ago. This could have been the separation gap, but it wasn't, right? And it was a 30% gap. So what we're seeing right now is not that big of a gap, right? It's really not. So going down from our wick up to here, 18%. I mean, it's a little over half the previous gap. And that's how these gaps play out, right? We've seen retracements when we were climbing up, and we've seen retracement when we were coming down. And I had a theory that because when this bull trend started, there wasn't one gap. It was only one gap above price, right? And over here, I was like, okay, so we haven't had a gap above price. If the gap's above price, does that mean that the trend is turning now? Well, this is the second gap in a row that's above price. And when the sell-off started, I'd mentioned that it's probably a good idea to wait a good 5 days before buying back in for the guys that hedged based on our newsletter, the guys that maybe tethered. And this is like day number 4. Right, it's good to wait a good 5 days to see what happens before buying back in. Because if somebody sold here and bought back here, and they sold out over here, and now trying to catch it again, just not get to dance with it. Once you tether, wait for a confirmation. Whose window is blocking what screen? Is my window too big? I don't know what this guy, who is it? Jordy McAllister. So ideally, I want to see a turn where we are right now, just because there's two different sets of 1.272 extensions, and I'll go ahead and draw them out. All right, and you're like, where are you getting this 1.272 number? Well, the last move, this last correction move, right, pulled back to 1.2. Now we're seeing we have another correction, and we're likely going to see a correct at the 1.272. We're slightly below now. Then ironically, from the range underneath, if you go like to the 2-hour chart, extension of this range from this swing high to this swing low, it's at wick at 64. There's another 1.272 right below it. So this is going to look like it's going to turn in the middle of nowhere, maybe right above this previous low, but I think it's going to want to turn on this 1.2. A lot of markets have been doing that. All right, you guys have questions on... Oh, okay, awesome. Yeah, I'm like, this is on my normal stream screen. Never had that kind of complaint. So, you guys have any questions about BTC? Any time frames indicators? Our BTFD indicator, which has held us up this whole time during this bull run, has not this time, right? I think this is, it failed over here and it kind of resumed. So I don't know if we're getting something like this. We might go up, right, for that gap fill, try to close above our BTFD, and then completely crash. But since the bull run started, this has indicated all the best buys, and I said at some point in this indicator description, when we close below it and break that trend, the indicator is no longer valid. And this is a 2019. It started in February 2019, and this will end in December 2019. So I built this indicator for a year. It will expire. It's just going to highlight what this year did. All right, not getting any questions about BTC. Let's go into what I really wanted to highlight, right? I talked about this about our stream on our stream last time, like yesterday a little bit, but I didn't dive in. I wanted to do a deep dive into this and take some altcoin suggestions from you guys just to see what in general consensus, right? And we'll cover some altcoins. We'll go into details. So I'm using BAT just because it cycles really well, right? It's a good basic attention token has been a really good indicator whether altcoins are bullish or bearish. Typically when BAT goes up, some of the alts follow suit, and when BAT comes down, a lot of alts follow suit. It tends to be one of the first ones to break out. And on the bottom chart, I've got BAT BTC. On the top chart, I have BTC USD. And there's been a lot of altcoin capitulation, right? Quite a bit of that, especially recently. but I think that's to be expected, right? I'm gonna put this arc as like a resistance over here at support on BTC, and I think this was to be expected with a parabolic run. I wasn't expecting BTC to be this parabolic personally. We did call bottom. We did published on March 31st. There should be a link to that in the video description saying that this week is going to be literally right there. This week's on market new beginnings for the crypto market, and I predicted a bull run, but I didn't think we were gonna just keep ripping all the way to 14K. I was thinking we are gonna top out at 8K before a serious correction again. Anyway, so back to this BAT chart, we do know that historically altcoin cycle. I mean, what are altcoins? Right, they're not just these tokens that get like a fair market valuation. I still think they're like an economic machine for the crypto space that are used to either save BTC or contribute BTC USD value when they sell off into it in terms of market dominance, and they're also a machine to generate more Bitcoin for market makers, because these moves, these rallies, these aren't just you and I and people buying. These are market maker generated rallies, and you see the cycles happen on and on and on. And historically, during a Bitcoin surge, during a bull run, we're gonna see right here when the trend sort of picks up, and this was for the Bitcoin gold fork, I believe, up here. But when the trend picks up and starts going parabolic, we're going to see alts lose value. And we're going to see that devaluation. And that's happened on this parabolic run, and it's happened on this last parabolic run, the one we just experienced, 2019. But now that we're in a correction, the market's going to stabilize a bit. And usually when the market's stabilizing, we're going to want to see alts rally, right? When BTC enters a cool down period, we're going to want to see alts rally. And before a BTC crash, right, before this crash, coming down from the 6,000 range to the 50% haircuts at 3,200, 3,400, lows of 2018, we saw alts rally right before the crash. And then here it kind of went quiet. Saw the sell-off. So ideally, we want to see market makers get back in alts, pump them hard, so market makers can generate themselves more Bitcoin, because Bitcoin is now losing USD value. There's no reason to exit alts into it to try to save it, to try to give it that dominance boost that contributes to BTC USD value. Bitcoins, others.d. Now I get to go into 4-hour charts of these guys. So what's interesting to me about others.d and BTC.d is they're starting to get divergent, right? They have been divergent for a while, where we're seeing BTC.d knock out this high, right? I talked about this a week ago, and I'll highlight it again. So first we had 4 similar highs. We had 1, 2, 3, 4, and these came on some higher lows. So V. All right, so this was our first one. All right, this is our second high, which made us a, where are we at? A higher low. So we're seeing where we did see a good area of, not inverse correlation, but these higher highs post on Bitcoin dominance. and higher lows or similar highs compared to higher lows on BTC.D on others.D. So altcoin dominance wasn't really breaking down as BTC dominance was ringing that same high. Now we saw this higher high develop. Bitcoin dominance is, or others dominance just is doing similar high. Actually, it's a higher low. So in terms of divergences, we just rang a higher high on Bitcoin dominance, and we're seeing a bit of a higher low on others dominance. And if you go to the daily, we are right where that peak was, or that trough was in 2017. Right, we're actually a little lower. December 8th, 2017. So the divergences are telling me that this trend is going to want to shift at some point. Hopefully soon. The sooner the better. I haven't quite fibbed this yet, but if this was our range low, that's our range high. I hit that 1.414, so we might make that one last push down to the 1.6 before we see a turn. It's going to put a dominance of 5.26 or 5.63. But what's more interesting is some alts are starting to turn. Or at least they're doing what I call like an accumulation period. Speaking of BAT, I want to go over BAT again, which gives me the most convincing case. And we're going to go ahead and go to the Bittrex chart. And up until we correct, I think we're going to go up and fill that gap overhead on BTC, and then enter that cool off period, the cool down period where the rally is going to want to pull back to the 8K mark and kind of go sideways or maybe sell off. We'll just enter that volatility. But at some point, we're going to see alts do a turnaround, right? And I think this turnaround is closer because we're starting to see this bottom-esque formation on a lot of them, right? Where we form a low, we spike up, knock out that low, and start trading upwards. And I do think we're here, right? In terms of this cycle, in terms of where we are in this down cycle, I really think altcoins are here in that accumulation phase. And what's going to happen, I think we're going to enter the accumulation phase and these consolidation phases, right? It's going to accumulate, it's going to do capitulation, and then consolidate in like a triangle type formation on the daily, and then comes the rip. This is how the last two altcoin rallies, last two or three, were started. And here we had another triangle. Now the real tricky part's going to be is if we don't get these big consolidation triangles, if we don't see these formations and do what we did in 2017, where it's just low, lower low, pull up, and just start running. And another alt that I'm keeping an eye on that's also cycled fairly well is Lumens. And you're like, dude, Lumens looks terrible. It looks so bearish right now. It's sold off so low. We're having I think it's starting to enter this accumulation phase, right? Where we're gonna want to see Lumen go sideways, maybe make a higher high, and drop back down. But it was doing this little bit of a flag on the 4 hour. It's probably gonna look better on Binance just because they've got more volume. So I'm switching over to that. So it's doing this little bit of a really extended flag. I won't even call it a flag at this point. I think it's going to fail, come back down, and rally up again. But some coins are actually starting to ring higher lows, and that's why others.D is holding that higher low. Look at Icon. We traded this one last night. We hit a target, right? So this one definitely did a little bit of a triangle. Now it's doing more of a flag, trying to break out. Moving averages are trying to turn. They're trying to turn up. Another one's going to be CMT. Moving averages look good. I think I want to see we're already seeing that consolidation pattern. All right, we're already seeing that. We're seeing a higher low. We're seeing moving averages start looking bullish on the daily. This is a hold in my book. I'm holding some CMT and I'm waiting for it. It's just the moving averages are conducive to us starting some type of run, especially on the daily. It's starting to look like this zone right here or this zone right here. Now, if we do come back down below, I'm probably going to stop out and not average down. Don't want to do that. Oh, what chart was that? I'm sorry, Sean, I'm just not seeing that. We're talking about CMT. Some coins I've not looked at in a while that have been trading for a long time. So Mona coin. Was that 2017? That was October, November, right? So throughout, what would be really tough, what would be really, really hard to digest if we enter one of these longer periods. That was 2015 all the way up to 2017. I guess it did record some gains just on a smaller level. It was kind of pulsing. You can see the smaller cycles before it went from 2,400 Satoshis. God, this thing made over 1,000% when I was trading it to 35,000, right? And now we're nowhere back to these lows. We're nowhere back to these lows. But historically, these things have rallied and cycled, and I wouldn't call it just speculation. This is market maker. These are market maker moves, and they are essentially, we're in an accumulation period. We're going to do one of these. I don't think it's going to last that long at all, just because we're just coming off. BTC's just now pulling off a yearly high. So it's in market makers' best interest to pump these alts hard and fast. So if they do want to pull in a fiat, they're actually selling their alts back into BTC, or when they do want to pull out of alts, BTC still has some value if we're really going to come down and correct. I'm going to go back over lumens for Sean. Alright, I'm going to take some altcoin requests. You guys start shilling me. Show me some alts. I wanna know what you guys are looking at. Oh, there's that 4 hour. The daily chart's not looking anywhere near ready on lumens. But to me it looks interesting, right? There's this big wedge. I'm gonna start with a smaller term wedge. And this one might fail. We did put out a long signal on BTC today on that wedge that got stopped out. Alright, so we're starting to see a little bit of a wedge develop. We saw it break out flag. We're probably going to retest again. Maybe pull back down. Let's go back to BTC.D. I want to see if we're past the 2017 high. We know that others.D is not at that 2017 low. So what's going on here on the daily chart? We're still not there, guys. We got just a little ways to go. 69.85 and we're at 68.66. Alright, we got Lisk, OMG, Neo. Man, I feel so bad for whoever did not sell Neo when it went flying during the Bitcoin's pullback. Like Neo is a great example of coins that do go flying after a pullback. And there's one reason that I really dislike trading Neo, and anybody that's known me for a long time knows that, is because I call it the fake out king. All right, so when Neo starts doing starts developing these moves up and down, creating this volatility, trapping bulls, and then just dumping, stopping them out, knocking out the previous low, doing a fake breakout, and then knocking out a lower low. That's when Neo's going to want to start rallying, right? And we're kind of seeing something similar, except for it's just like a steady sell-off at this point. We haven't seen those bull traps come in, and Neo likes to rally. I think this was December 16th all the way up to January 30th of 2018, right? The last leg up came after the entire market rallied, and this is when we started shorting Neo. It was still on BitMEX, and we shorted Neo, I think up here, down, and we might have stopped out over here, stopped shorting it. But we saw something very similar happen before Neo rallied in 2017. I mean, this kind of looks, I'm not going to say a spitting image. Let's go to 720. But then at this point, this is when I'm looking to start picking up master nodes, and I'm starting to look in and accumulating these larger positions that I want to be in alts for the big run-ups. Right, and I announced that Lumens is one of them, Zcoin's one of them. I don't know if I still have faith in OMG. I never really had faith in it to start. Traded it a few times, especially that initial run-up. Right, this was a good run-up, but ever since then, maybe traded one or two breakouts on here. The problem with OMG is it has not cycled, right? It hasn't really cycled like most altcoins that do. And we might get a rally of the coins that have never cycled, right? So I'm gonna go back to this correlation over under chart. We're gonna do OMG BTC. Bitrix and BAT Bitcoin. We might be looking at two completely different charts, and the reason being is this one's not going to cycle like the other one will. So here we saw the start of an upcycle in BAT, and you can see in the bottom right here on OMG, so they cycled together. OMG's second time to not try to make a higher high. All right, so my trading view just slowed down. I don't know why. Give me a moment. You guys still getting the stream? You guys still getting the stream? Because okay, awesome. We're going again. What's going on, Kevin Wells? Okay, Dub. All right, so second time around, this BAT cycle, BAT rallied, Omizigo didn't. This rally, BAT rallied, Omizigo didn't. And here, Musico did a little bit of a rally, but it kind of stopped short. It stopped too soon, right? So I'm gonna want to look for coins that actually cycle and not coins that were a one and done, unless it's gonna be the one and dones that actually pump this time around. And I hate using the word pump. I am call them rally, right? And this was the only time OMG rallied, a true rally, and then it sold off. This was before the all-time high rise. This was September 2017. It was just an initial buy and sell. Let me check on the stream. Sorry, guys. Alright, this is really odd. I'm gonna try to start the stream again in just a moment. Alright, are we back on? We should be back on. Awesome. Sweet. Thanks, guys. So going over EOS, ZRX, Ether. Got a lot of altcoin requests on YouTube. So let me get to you guys real quick. Covered Lumens, covered Neo, covered OMG, Lisk. Lisk used to rally and used to do it really hard, and lately it's just been hasn't done so as often. I'm not gonna go with a Binance chart. I'm gonna go with the Bittrex chart. It's just been trading on Bittrex a lot longer. This really reminds me of the old Vertcoin chart. So Lisk actually used to have somewhat of an inverse correlation about. Actually, not really. So here we see a strong rally together. A strong rally together. No rally here. No rally. No rally. A little bit of a rally on this last pulse. Right? I mean, personally, I'm going to look to trade coins that I think fundamentally are sound and good coins. And I'm going to trade coins that are getting volume and coins that are going to want to rally. Coins that have had these correlations or coins that don't really have a lot of bag holders. Rep, EOS, ZRX. So Rep does pretty well, right? Rep has been a top gainer for us time and time again. But this is a token that hasn't made a new high in a while, right? We can look at BAT. It's actually knocked out a new high. Last time Rep made an all-time high was in June of 2017. and actually rallied. I think it was rallying with BTC for some time, Augur, and then we did see a rally. We did see a cycle, up cycle. No up cycle in this period. Maybe not a strong one, just a minor one, like a cool down phase. An early up move here, right? So usually when we see rep rally, or previously when you've seen rep rally, this was January 2019. Rep was the first one to break out, and it did so. It started January 13th, 2019, and it stopped on the 20th, 21st. It was like a 3-4 day rally. And some of these things can happen fast, but to put that in perspective, it was right before BAT and everything else cycled in 2019. We did have a really fruitful January, February, March alt season this year, and I think we're going to be due for another one. I think we're due for another one. EOS, ETH. What do you guys think? Does token that cycles? I think it does. I think it does. We got an up cycle here, down cycle, another up cycle. Actually started right when BAT started that up move, right? So this one's correlated with the market cycles. Started here, ended right when BAT ended. Did not rally that cool off period, so we're probably going to see like a secondary bump on BAT. I think this is one of the few ones that's doing that. Here it did not rally. This rally actually did. Just couldn't keep up with BAT. So EOS does cycle. What's EOS doing in terms of short-term chart, moving averages? We'll go with the Binance chart. It's been there longer. It's not looking ready for anything on the 12-hour. I'll tell you when I got into EOS and when I got stopped out of EOS. I think I got into EOS here and I stopped out at entry. Or actually, no, right here. And I got stopped out on this failed breakout and came back down to entry. And now I think I want to enter that accumulation phase. What does that look like on EOS? We know what it looks like on BAT. Well, every EOS rally started with a dip, right? It was a dip here. It was a capitulation dip here, capitulation dip here. So I'm not saying we're here, right? I'm not saying we're at bottom, but I'm saying we're going to want to see these consolidation patterns before an upcycle, because this upcycle is going to come. Sorry if that was off my screen, right? I'm not comparing this to this by any means, right? But once we start seeing these consolidations, moving averages turn up, we're going to see a cycle. KNC rallied hard. It didn't rally in 2018, I don't think, but it rallied really hard earlier this year, and we traded it. This cycles. Let's put a BAT overlay. It's just, I think BAT is my altcoin cycle standard at this point. Thank you guys for all the altcoin suggestions. This is awesome. So it rallied on the all-time high pullback. It rallied once again. Third time around, didn't quite rally very hard. And then we did see a little bit of a cycle here. That's going to be a hard to trade chart, right? Unless volume comes in and it's sustainable. But long-term perspective, I mean, this a lot of these coins are coming down to nothing, right? And that's where you want to check your fundamentals if you want to like be a hodler. And this one's knocking out lower lows at this point too, right? So this is one of those tokens that's contributing to the falling in others.d and not one of the ones that's contributing to the rise in others.d. One that's likely contributing to the higher low is Raven, right? I think of the coins that were all about, people were raving all about in 2017. Things like Verge. Trying to remove drawing tools. There you go. So think about tokens like Verge that did this, right? It made 5,000% based on hype, right? It was just hype that pumped XVG all the way up. And we're seeing tokens like RVN that's starting to make that higher low. We don't have a higher high yet. We're still not setting a good trend. Moving average is turning on the 4 hour. I don't think they are just yet. Well, they are just now, right? And sometimes when they turn on the 4 hour, we see these smaller rallies. So there could be a trade set up here on the upside on the 4 hour. The hourly is in our momentum zone. It was the momentum zone. It's breaking down. I just bagged some Raven on this pullback. I mean, it's right at a 50% retracement. It could come down to 61. But I mean, this is what we want to see. We want to see rallies come up, hold at that 50, 61.8%, and then move up for a continuation. I did not see ICX pump on Huobi and not Binance. That's interesting. Whoa, that's a mega pump. Holy crap. Oh, man. You know, ironically, I signaled ICX here yesterday, and I think it hit T1, and now it's back at entry. We signaled this one on, I saw an ascending triangle. Plus, this had a lot of volume building. Man, I wish some of the guys that traded this traded it on Huobi. Oh, man. What's couch? You guys have altcoin suggestions? Did I cover any? Okay, IOTA. Doesn't quite trade like BAT, but we do see like 2 or 3 up cycles, just smaller ones. we might see something completely different out of this cycle, right? Nothing's for certain. It's just a matter of probability of market makers making these games. This one actually rallied earlier than BAT did, and then consolidated in a triangle and broke down, came up for a retest. This retest of the triangle was with a BAT rally. No relief rally here. We got kind of its own rally. This was in December 15th, 2018 to January 3rd when BAT went sideways. It doesn't really cycle just right. Pillar, BTC. Oh, man. This came as a request in Discord. Doesn't look like there's a lot of volume here. Right? I mean, this would have been a great time to get out after something goes from 2,700 sats to, holy shit, 172,000 sats. I'm not familiar with the project. What are my thoughts on the dump? My thoughts on the dump is I announced the dump. I announced the dump on 7/9. I said, hey, we're going to see a bull trap in this range tomorrow. And we sent it out via newsletter. And Cam, we signaled, we had a short signal go out. Okay, Discord. And I mean, some of our guys are up over 2,000, 3,000% on this dump. So my thoughts on the dump is it should have been expected, right? So up 3,000, 2,400%. This dump should have been expected. What's its impact on market cap? I think it's gonna trigger the cycle to turn over again. I think this dump it's ideal for it to want to trigger the market to turn in favor of using alts to generate BTC as opposed to dumping alts in a BTC to try to increase BTC USD's value in terms of the dollar. Let's look at total 1, total 2. All right, so total 1 and total 2. Before I do that, I'm going to go ahead and drop a link in the video description to our last medium publication, some of our bearish targets for Bitcoin, where we think a turn is going to be. So it's probably a good one for you guys to read. All right, I'm sure you guys on YouTube already read that. So back to total 1 and total 2. The daily chart. And it's going to be highly influenced by BTC. I want to look at alts without Bitcoin. On the daily, this is back at almost that pre-breakout. How does this compare to BTC right now? I mean, total 2 has actually punched through that diamond top that we had on Bitcoin up here. BTC still a little higher, so total, it's just total 2. So total market cap without Bitcoin. So theoretically, we haven't rallied. Alts are still, they're still at they're back at the September 2018 or the 2018 range lows in terms of their USD value. But they're holding on one of our probably most critical moving averages that we like to use. It's part of the BTFD formula. And yeah, I think they should hold, whether it's in terms of USD or BTC value. I think we're going to see an accumulation period play out before they make an upwards move. All right, fam. Thank you all for tuning into the stream. If you're not on Discord, hop in a Discord. There's a couple of links that you might want to check out. So there's a link to why we think Bitcoin is losing steam, and there's a link to our publication that said, hey, this is likely a good time. This is on 7-9 to lock in some profits, head short, and the big dump's coming. This is a bull trap. And this was before the sell-off started. This was before we even knocked out the bull trap, which was the higher high, right? So this was still here on 7-9. The secondary high came in the next day. That's where we had our short signal. And now we're looking for a long. Now we're looking for a long to fill that gap. All right, that being said, guys, thank you all for tuning in. Hope you enjoyed this stream. Can I look at ETH, please? All right, we look at ETH BTC. Man, it's not looking good for ETH. But what we know is that ETH BTC, let's do this. Bittrex. And I'm going to do over under. Full screen. So Ether cycles, right? Ether cycles. It does. You know, it likes to play out as a hedge. Ether BTC likes to capitulate and then fly when Bitcoin starts pulling back. Here it rose with BTC. But I've got, in terms of what Ether does, there's actually an ETH BTC Medium post. And I wrote it way too early. I didn't think we were going to make a $14 top. But if you wanted to see how it correlates with Bitcoin, we got an Ether article that came out on April 13th, right? We saw this triangle. ETH USD hit our USD targets. ETH BTC went against us. So, but historically, we have a historical correlation on here. Yeah, so historically, when BTC pulls back, we've seen Ether BTC rally. And I'm going to leave it at that. So it might be a day, 2, 3 days before we see that turn, but I do think we're going to see one on Ether soon. I'm going to go ahead and pull up our harmonic scanner. See if we can get a turn. That's Ether USD on the 4-hour. Let's go to the hourly. This looks probably blinding you guys right now. Still no bullish signal on Ether USD. Let's do the 30-minute. No bullish signal, the 15. No bullish signal. Ether BTC had given us a lot of bullish signals on harmonics, right? It'd been doing so time and time again. It just hasn't reversed yet. There's actually one right now. This is the 4-hour chart. Let's go maybe 720. The 720 has one. It has two. I think when we enter that BTC pullback, this is probably a liquidity grab before ETH BTC tries to turn around. Fingers crossed it does. I covered Litecoin the other day and I said it wasn't looking good. Let's go over LTC. I said it was gonna come down like $100, right? I said it was gonna break $100 actually, and you asked me what about the halvening. I think that pumps over. Litecoin was here. It was at 120. Remember, it was doing a triangle. Litecoin was here, right? And that's when I said, hey, it's probably a good time to get out because it's going to break down. And you said, what about the halvening coming up? I said, doesn't matter. It's down like, what, 20, 30, 40%? You're just going to go off this top. 30%? Pretty bad. All right, what do I see on a long-term chart? Is this a pullback to a previous breakout formation? It is. It is. Here's a cup and a handle, and a continuation. Is it gonna hold? I don't know. I mean, at some point you got a profit take, right? If I say BTC USD is falling, Litecoin was leading this rally, right? LTUSD sparked this whole rally. It was the first one to move out. We were still in this range right here, and I said I would not short this on Twitter. It was here, actually. It was this triangle. I said LTCUSD, I would not short. And then it broke out, came down, stopped me out. So I talk about accumulation phases. That's what they're going to look like. Bottom's not going to be nice. Alts are going to want to stop us out. Well, fam, thanks for tuning into the stream. I'll catch you guys on Discord, and trade safe.